And welcome, everybody, to this week's exciting episode.
Exciting, tremendous, the great podcast, Paranormality, ghosts, little aliens, tiny Asian boys. We've got it all right here on the show.
I'm going to tariff you for mentioning that.
That's 84% tariffs
Yes.
just for mentioning little Asian boys who make handbags, which we all buy for lots of money. But it turns out China just makes them all, sends them out, and we buy it like the chumps we are. Tariffs on everything. Greenland, 74% tariffs.
Unless you join us.
Join us, join America, make America great again.
You do realise that you're never going to get let into America again.
Probably not, but I don't want to go. Oh wait, no, that was as Josh.
Yeah, as Josh.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in going. I was going to say Trump. There's no way he's leaving America.
No, he's not leaving America. But from what I've read, the border control is very, very tight.
Yeah,
they're checking your social media. They're checking your phones. If you said anything anti-Trump or anti-America, you're not going in.
I have said anti-government, American government, but I don't know if I've. It's not the people. It's the government.
It's the government, yeah.
And ultimately, they are the ones that control the airports.
Yes. So don't expect to go to America anytime soon. In the next probably 4 years?
You know what?
Or 8 years?
I don't want to go.
Just
to
in case he gets that extra third term that shouldn't be legal, but might be by this time next.
The last time I went to America was like 7 years ago, maybe. Probably longer.
Probably it'd be longer than that, wouldn't it? Because Trump wasn't in.
No,
Who was president when you last went? Obama.
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 Yep. The great Barack Obama.
There you go. So it's got to have been at least more than 8 years ago.
Yeah. Probably pushing 9-10 years. Oh, it's been a wild ride. But no, I've got no interest.
Do you never ever feel like you want to go home?
No, this is my home. Definitely. I actually feel, as I've got older, I actually feel more of a connection to like Northern Ireland and Scotland and the UK.
UK roots are coming through now, then.
I've actually been trying Nigerian dishes as well to go to my mum's roots. So
really?
I've been having like plantain.
Oh.
A lot of spicy rice, jollof rice.
I was going to say, what do they eat?
A lot of sweet potatoes with like, I can't remember if it's jollof or jollof, but it's like a certain rice. And plantain and a lot of spice. Goats. They eat a lot of goat meat. So
I remember my school teacher. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly which African country it was that he went to, but years ago, obviously years ago because I'm old. But he'd been out to an African country, and they'd given him one of their local dishes that they called posho.
Okay. Right.
And it was like root vegetable that had been mashed up and that sort of thing. And he asked, where does it come from, and that sort of thing. Is this like traditionally yours? And they were like, no, it comes from like when you English people like colonised the country. And he was like, well, this isn't an English dish. And they were like, yeah, it is. And he's like, no, it's not. We don't have anything called posho. And then he realised that what it was like the colonials were dishing out food and saying, this is your portion, this is your portion, this is your portion. And honestly, but they couldn't speak English that well. And over the years, it got translated to posho.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've got a cool fact that I learned last week for you.
Go on then.
Do you know the teddy bear comes from Theodore Roosevelt?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you
last
didn't?
Week.
No, yeah.
Because he refused.
That was his favourite toy or something when he was young, wasn't it?
I read that he refused to kill a bear because he said it was too cute, or like there's no point in killing like defenceless bears.
Oh, could be. So they started making teddy bears and as like
So
fair play.
I didn't realise that's what the teddy part was.
Excuse me, sorry, my beer just went down the wrong way then.
That's all right.
First slug as well.
First glug. Well, yeah. Podcast. We're here.
Podcasting again. Oh,
I know.
It's been a long week for me.
Yes,
You've been having a bit of a jolly. I've had a bit of a stressful one, but
yeah,
doesn't matter. That that's work life, home life is completely irrelevant when it comes to podcast time.
Yes, we're bringing the positivity.
The positivity,
And
yeah.
nothing says positivity more than threatening you to be positive. Because if you start being negative, I'll climb across this desk and I'll lightly slap you. Because I don't want to fight. I don't like fighting. Because fighting is not positive.
Oh, you're not going to spin kick me?
No, I've said this before. If I whip out a spin kick, the earth moves.
Oh, I know,
It's
I know.
dangerous.
But you've been...
That tsunami in Japan,
that was your spin kick?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh. See, I thought you were in that competition with that Australian fitness guy that your wife really likes. About your spin kicks.
Yeah. Adam Sullivan or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's the master of spin kicks.
Yeah.
Like, that guy injured himself doing a spin kick and then had a whole series of bringing himself and rehabbing himself to finally spin kick again. So,
that must have been a hell of a spin kick.
Mate, if you can injure yourself, like I think...
Was he going Super Saiyan or something at the time?
I can't remember if he broke his leg or tore his quad or something, but he done some serious damage doing a spin kick. And I respect the guy for spin kicking again.
Right.
So he's the master of spin kicks. Yeah.
And what, did you learn from him? Or is he your rival in spin kickery?
No, so we kind of recognise that both of us are spin kick masters.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Oh, so you're like the tiger spin kick and he's like the dragon spin kick. Is that it?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. We come from different dojos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we both recognise the skill, you know.
Yeah.
But he's more...
Because he friend requested you on, what was it? Was it Instagram?
I friend requested him and then he returned the favour.
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
much respect. So you're bowing to each other in that.
Yes,
in that kind of
yeah, basically. He's more open to showing his spin kicks, but when he spin kicks,
whereas you're all just wind.
no. He's only showing like maybe 2% of his spin kicks.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
imagine injuring yourself only doing like 2% of a spin kick. But if he went full 100%, he'd be like me.
He'd start a tornado.
It'd be unbelievable. So for the safety of the population, of the world,
you can't release that kind of energy.
No. I'm telling you now, if both of us spin kicked at the same time, him being in Australia, and
you'd start a hurricane on both hemispheres.
Mate, the
at
world
the same
would
time.
implode.
It would. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't want that to happen because positivity. What button is it you press for positivity? Okay, I thought it was this one.
That or
I guess that whole top layer is quite positive, isn't it?
yeah. What's this one?
Yeah. That's the positive layer
Yeah.
and the not so positive layer.
Yeah. The only bad thing that happened to me last week was taking a chunk out of my mustache and having to shave it off. But in hindsight, not that bad, really. I think if it gets...
I think I can see the bit where it's not quite so brown.
If it gets to the point where in life my biggest problem is accidentally shaving my mustache
Over
off,
trimming your beard.
I haven't got anything
At least
to
you've trimmed your beard. I feel like my face is extra long this week because I haven't trimmed my beard.
They don't call you pirate long face itchy peg leg.
They don't call me pirate long face.
Exactly.
They do call me itchy peg leg though. I did get a reward poster for itchy peg leg.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that is your actual last name. So pirate itchy peg leg.
Pirate itchy peg leg brown beard. It's my middle name, itchy peg leg.
I like it.
All one word.
Itchy peg leg.
Yeah.
Well, that does sound
It's
a little
half
bit
Japanese.
Asian. Yeah, I was going to
Itchy
say.
peg leg.
It sounds Asian.
But anyway, I know that you're itching to find out exactly.
I'm itchy peg legging to know what's going on.
Well, let me find it on my notes. Because I know we did a few weeks ago, we did the We Got Mail thing.
Yeah.
Episode. And I did say the week after that I'd forgotten someone.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some other people that I guess were stragglers that sent in...
Stragglers?
Well, they were a bit late. sent in some emails and stuff. But they did catch my attention, and they were all kind of spooky and ghost related.
That's good.
So I wanted to cover those, and the first one was from Neil Cross. Do you remember I mentioned him? He was the one that you said he didn't get in time. He did get in time, but I just completely forgot that we'd got a message on Instagram, whereas normally I go through the email address,
well,
and Discord and stuff. But yeah, he'd contacted us on Instagram.
He's back in the good books
rather than email and Discord, and so now I'm going to address his email. It wasn't an email. His message. He said, "Hello lads, loving the pod, whether it's a no subject pod or unplanned pod or anything, always good and funny and informative. If you're after a topic and an interesting one, you could look at the late 80s, early 90s original OG ghost hunt documentary, Ghost Watch, and how it got banned and stuff." He said it led to like Most Haunted and a lot of these other ghost hunting shows. The Sally House is a good one with loads of footage on YouTube, including the original Unexplained Mysteries episode where it shows the guy being scratched via infrared cameras.
Ew.
And it does, yeah. It's kind of, I think Most Haunted did the same thing where might have even been at 30 East Drive. Mm-hmm. Stuart got scratched. And then in the low light infrared camera, you could see the scratch marks on the skin and that sort of thing. Well, Ghost Watch, I do remember it. I mean, it is very old, like he says, 80s, very early 90s. I can only sort of just about remember it. He said that he looked into it. He says not a lot of people, not seen many people talk about it, hence why I brought it up. And I always thought it got banned as it was scary. But I've been doing a bit of digging, and I found out it was due to a guy committing the S word. And this was used as one of the reasons why it got banned. Now, the thing is, it didn't officially get banned. I've looked into this. And here's a quick overview of it. Ghost Watch was a BBC television programme. Boo. It wasn't officially banned, but it did face significant backlash and scrutiny due to its deceptive nature and the impact it had on viewers, particularly young children. The show intentionally created a sense of genuine paranormal activity, leading many to believe it was real, which caused fear and distress. Now remember, this was in the late 80s and early 90s. This kind of television program wasn't popular back then. Yeah. The best we had was like the Outer Limits, not the Crazy Door, that's Futurama, but what's that called?
Tales of the Crypt?
Tales of the Unexpected. That's the one. You know, stuff like that.
Twilight Zone?
The Twilight Zone, yeah. But these are all, like I say, those are all like fictitious stories that are just made, kind of like Black Mirror is these days, like creepypasta style thing. I believe there's a new series.
I was about to say, a new series. It's good. It's good.
I've not seen it yet. I need to get on that and check that out. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that was going on back in the 80s. It was just documentaries, but you know, you might have Michael Aspel saying, "Oh, in this house there was documented ghost activity and all that sort of thing," and that's what they were trying. They were trying to make it ultra real, so they were doing. And I know programs like Most Haunted have been accused of like doing setting up and making it look like there's ghostly activity where there isn't, particularly in the early days with Derek Acora and stuff like that. You know, but I mean, this was kind of a predecessor to it. And
Derek Acora got proved to be a fraud, didn't he?
He did, by what's his name, who actually worked on the show, the parapsychologist. Did you? His name escapes me now.
Do you remember the episode though? That was hilarious. Where I don't know if it's the same episode, but there was one where I mean, I don't think I have to censor it because it's actually a name as well. But he kept saying, "Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick." Do you remember that one? It was like, what is he on about? Obviously, Dick being short for Richard.
No, it was love stick. But yeah,
Oh, was it?
I don't think that's what he was trying to say. But yeah,
Oh.
it sounded a lot worse than what it is.
Oh, I just thought it was like the short name for Richard. That's what I thought.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I don't remember it, so I'm just trying to cover for us there. But yeah, no, a little more detail was they technically banned for deceptive presentation. The show used a documentary style with interviews, phone-ins, and on-camera footage to make the paranormal events appear authentic, although it was staged. Yeah. Like I say, this is an early version of these kind of ghost paranormal investigation style programs, you know, and it was still very 80s, 90s-esque. The audience reactions that they had, many viewers, especially young children, were genuinely scared and distressed by the program's portrayal of a haunted house, and particularly an episode that revealed a pipes entity. I'm not familiar exactly with that episode, but that's what it was called. The Broadcasting Standards Commission inquiry investigated the show, concluding that the BBC had a duty to be more transparent about the deception. Okay, and the BBC had to, following the inquiry, the BBC issued an apology for the deceptive nature of the programme and its impact on the viewers. While the show faced criticism and scrutiny, it wasn't officially banned, it was just withdrawn from broadcast.
Yeah.
Whether, as Neil said, it was also due to someone unfavourably taking their life, you know, maybe because they were scared or overreacted to it or something like that, that could have had consequences with the BBC as well.
Yeah. So that's how Jeremy Kyle got cancelled. Same thing.
I'm kind of surprised that Love Island is still going.
Yeah, I know. What are we at, 7 now?
Something like that.
Something like that. Christ.
But yeah, I'd say that is that basically, Neil. I'm sorry I left you out from the actual We've Got Mail 2 episode, but I've now, as far as I know, I've addressed it. That's as much of a story as I could make from it.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because back in those days, if they didn't embellish things and deceive certain things, you wouldn't have much of a show, would you? Really, like. There's only so much. If you were doing like a realistic kind of ghost show,
because
there'd be a lot of standing around.
Yeah, there weren't so many. Yeah, there weren't so many like low light cameras. We didn't have locked off cameras. We didn't have half the technology that we did back then. So to try and to fake it was easier than trying to get something genuine. And if you actually wanted to make something that's appealing to an audience, you have to have something to show them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and if it wasn't for shows like that, we maybe wouldn't be, discussing these kinds of things and having these other shows like Most Haunted going into the future where it is a bit more realistic.
We wouldn't have this podcast if it weren't for, like you said, these were pioneering shows of their time. Although maybe they did it in the wrong way and they got scrutinised for it, but these were the shows that I loved watching when I was a kid. You know, and the stuff that held people's interests. I mean, or just made them plain scared. You know, but it's one of the reasons why I've always been interested in the paranormal. Yeah. For all my life, because obviously I was born in 1980, so I can remember shows this old, and those have always been some of the driving factors to make me interested in this subject, and the reason why we started this in the first place. Yeah,
very true. I agree with you.
So thank you, Neil Cross, for bringing
that up.
Thanks, Neil. And I did say his full name there. I don't know if I was supposed to, but he knows who he is. Now this person, they are going to know who they are, but the email starts off with, "Hello, anonymous listener here."
Oh, hello, anonymous listener.
An anonymous listener. I do have a name, but obviously I'm not going to read it out.
Well, no, because that wouldn't be anonymous.
It wouldn't be anonymous, and it wouldn't be fair on the person who's put their trust in us to stay anonymous.
Yeah. So what's Steve got to say then?
Steve. Well, it's definitely not Steve, unless it's a Stevie, because this is genuinely a female listener of European descent.
Oh, well, okay.
They're not English, but they are a fan of the show. And she says,
They, them.
Who
knows?
Why not just call her Stevie now? Since
all right,
Stevie. So Stevie says, when I was an early teenager, I saw a face in the mirror with burning eyes. It dove over me, and there it ended. I do not know if I summoned someone when I had candles in front of the mirror to look at myself in different light, and some random stuff like that. For a few years after that, nothing happened. Since I moved to another town and started work, where I started working on night shifts, it started happening again. There was a lot of fear that someone else was in the room. Then a classic cannot move or scream, like a sleep paralysis style thing. It started to repeat. I did not see anyone, but for a few hours I was feeling it's there. Every night I used prayers, some angels' prayers that somebody gave me. A salt lamp was always on, a little branch of rowan. Do you know what rowan is?
Rowan Atkinson from Blackadder.
No,
I know who he is. Great actor. Mr. Bean, famously.
He was Mr. Bean,
yeah,
but
great, fantastic.
Rowan, okay, because I know you're going to be confused. Rowan is a European plant called Sorbus alcuparia.
Oh, Sorbus alcuparia.
Yeah,
that was my second guess for Rowan.
It has a long tradition in European mythology and folklore. It was thought to be a magical tree and give protection against malevolent beings.
Oh, a bit like sage.
It's kind of like sage,
Okay.
yeah. The tree was also called the Wayfarer's tree or Traveller's tree because it supposedly prevents those on a journey from getting lost.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So, Stevie always had a little branch of rowan on the side, but nothing seemed to work. The protective powers of it wasn't helping. She said, I was super energetic at this time. I'm guessing she means internal energies. But after these attacks, I always felt super empty and tired. Some nights I slept at a friend's house just to at least get some sleep away from my own place. I tried moving house, but the same thing happened there. I found that saying Om loud or in my mind and have some frequency against the bad energy. I tested this as I was always feeling this way before sleeping, and when using this meditation, it did not actually affect me so much. I don't know what it was. It lasted about 4 years, and it kept draining me. A wise man once told me that it's coming from an ancient fear, from a time when we lived in caves and bears or something could attack, but I do not believe this. She goes on to say that she's had other experiences about, because these are most time nighttime experiences, like night, I wouldn't say night terrors, but like the sleep paralysis and stuff.
The witching hours.
The witching hour, yeah. But yeah, she was having these experiences, and then she started having more of a sort of an out of body or astral projection type of experience. And she said, I landed one time in a town where I used to live, and found my old apartment keys. I entered. My room was empty. It was another room, totally different. I was looking around and decided to lay down, but this was in a dream. I didn't see anyone, but when in reality there was already somebody sleeping there. He said every night I was travelling to my lost grandparents' place, my late grandparents' place. I was looking at things that I remembered, sometimes searching for something. It was the same time when my relatives were there cleaning the place. And when other people, because obviously her grandparents had died, and then the house got sold, and when the other people moved in and started changing the place, I would still visit. And one time I visited and saw that everything was different. I had no bad feelings, but what can you do? She said, I heard some stories when someone was hiding from people in a place where they went in a dream. The dream world is a mystery. Maybe we happen to land to some other dimension there, and maybe some are just neutral visitors. Some maybe not. And I managed to get a bit of a conversation going with Stevie.
I see where this is going.
Yeah. And I said to her, it seems like what you're saying to me is you're saying that you're astrally projecting and seeing the house that you used to live in, or your grandparents' house, as it is today, and she was like, yeah, but I've heard other stories of people seeing the apparition of someone visiting as well. And I wondered if I could be seen when I was doing that, And it got me thinking along the lines of, are all ghosts actually ghosts of dead people? Or can people still be alive? And I told Stevie this story that comes from my town, about where I come from in Ludlow. There was a story. I don't know if this is a common knowledge story or not, but there's been a lot of sightings, or there were in the past, back in the 70s and 80s and whatnot, about a little girl towards the middle of town that would be seen walking down a small little alleyway out into the street. She'd walk down the street a little way, cross the road, carry on down the street, and then go into a house.
Okay.
Quite a few people saw this apparition of this little girl. It turned out years later, and I don't know how this got found out, but this is what I heard, is that the little girl was the apparition of an old woman that was still alive, and every time she used to dream about visiting her grandmother as a little girl, this apparition would get seen walking the path from her old house to her grandmother's house.
Okay.
And it wasn't until she actually died that the little girl stopped appearing. She'd found peace, and her energy was no longer being put into that. So maybe there is some clause to this. Maybe people can be,
We've unlocked a
generating
whole new level of ghost here.
Yeah, it's generating an apparition while you're not even actually dead yet. And so I went to Google.
Here we go.
And I said, is it, are there accounts of ghosts of people who are still alive? And Google AI, you know how you get that AI answer at the top of Google these days? Sorry, a common search engine.
Yeah.
They said, yes, there are accounts and beliefs of apparitions, sometimes referred to as ghosts of people who are still alive. These apparitions, often called doppelgangers or etheric doubles, can appear as a visible manifestation of a living person, sometimes in a similar form to an astral projection. These sightings are often described as an uncanny or strange resemblance to the living person and can be unsettling. Possible explanations and theories: astral projection or out-of-body experience, which we already know what that is. An etheric double, which is a concept where a replica of the physical body made of a less dense substance is revealed. I'm guessing like made of ectoplasm or something. I don't really know exactly how you'd explain that scientifically.
Ghostbusters!
Yeah. Critical situations. Apparitions of living people have also been reported to coincide with near-death experiences and critical situations. Okay. Intuitive connections. Some people believe that people are connected through their spirits or energy, and that these connections can be sensed or experienced even from a distance. Psychic abilities. Some individuals may possess psychic abilities or heightened sensitivity that allow them to perceive or experience these paranormal occurrences. So maybe it's because of psychic abilities that people actually see these apparitions, and you wouldn't normally be able to anyway, as a normal person.
I think we should get a psychic on the show at some point.
We should, yeah. We need to do that. We've been talking about that for years, to be fair.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack here, my friend.
I got a couple of examples.
Okay.
So this one I found on Quora. Quora.com. I don't know, an anonymous story.
Yeah.
But basically the question was exactly the same. Can a living person create a ghost? And another anonymous person said, when I was 5 years old, I was lying in bed looking out the window when a cloud came in through the space in the curtain.
No.
It was glowing in a warm light and formed into my father at the foot of my bed. At first, he stood there smiling at me. I was not scared.
Hang on. A cloud, as in a cloud in the sky?
As in like smoky sort of apparition,
all right. I'll let you off.
Not a cloud in the sky.
Straight away, I was like, I'm out. That's not real. There's no way.
Give it a chance. Okay,
all right?
It's not a cloud. No, that was a bad description.
All
but
right.
yeah, it's like some kind of smoky essence came in through the space in the curtains.
Okay, I'm going to picture this as you're saying it.
And then transformed into the apparition of this person's father. He says, I was not scared. Then he floated over me and tucked me in. Yeah, I know. When he didn't say anything, I thought something was strange. So I said, Daddy? And as he reached forward to hug me, he didn't reply. He just moved back and kept smiling. He walked out into the hallway without saying a word. I quickly jumped out of bed and ran after him, but in 2 seconds he was gone. When I found him, he was deep asleep in bed. Impossible for him to have reached his bed that quickly. But it's good luck to anyone believing that when you're a 5-year-old. At 20 years old, again I woke up and went to the kitchen. I didn't bother turning on the hallway lights. On the way back, I saw a dark, shadowy figure standing in my doorway. I assumed I had woken my father up, then realised that I could see through it. The hairs at the back of my neck stood up, and he turned to me as if I had scared him. We stood there, both staring at each other. From his body language, I couldn't see facial features. It just looked as he'd been startled as much as I was. He quickly turned around and made it away to my parents' room. I followed. I was scared, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I watched it as he went to the side of my parents' bed, like he was going to crawl into bed, my parents' bed, alongside them, or something like that. That is when I finally found my voice and began to scream in sheer terror. The figure froze in place when I screamed, like it was scared or confused. I finally reached for the lights, and as I flicked the switch, I woke everybody up, and it disappeared. I felt safe to close my eyes and didn't want to open them again in case it was still there. I think my father, ironically the most skeptical person on the planet, is leaving his body while he sleeps.
Okay. First of all, Startled Ghost is a great name for a band.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I mean, that would be an out-of-body experience, wouldn't it? But then I always assumed that kind of thing was down to the person, as in other people. Like, when people pass away on an operating table, I don't think the surgeons...
An NDE, a near-death experience.
Yeah, I don't know if that's different, because I don't think surgeons are like, oh, you're all right, Trevor, just stay there, you can go back in your body. They're not seeing that, are they? So I've always attributed that to...
No, but I guess...
personal.
A lot of the times people say that you have to be sensitive to that sort of thing to see ghosts anyway, don't you? You have to be sort of, in tune with that sort of thing to be able to see it. So surgeons, I don't think, are necessarily.
They seem pretty logical, don't they? They're a logical bunch. It's tough because my brain automatically goes towards like different dimensions, or it's almost like limbo.
Right.
You know, like a permanent state of limbo. You're not dead, you're not alive, you're just in this space. We don't know if limbo's a thing because there's no way of proving it.
No.
There's a lot of theories that we're not going to know about while we're alive.
No.
Like it's nuts. But I remember I think I've mentioned it before on the pod, but there was those ghost hunters that were talking through the box to what they believe was a ghost.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. I don't know if we mentioned that on the pod or not, but yeah. Say it. Tell it.
And he was just communicating with this ghost, and then he said, "We're in the year 2023 or 2024, whenever it was," and then the ghost responded by saying, "Oh, well, I'm alive, and it's the year 2072 or whatever it was." So, are those people asking the questions?
Didn't they start off by asking how did you die or something? And the ghost was like, "I'm not dead, you are."
Yeah. So it's like, what's going on there? Yeah. Is it different dimensions? Is it? I don't know. I could make a reference here to Star Wars, which is actually it's quite fitting.
Of course you could.
In Star Wars, specifically Star Wars Rebels, there is what they call the world between worlds.
Right.
So Ezra is going through, and he is seeing things that have happened and things that are going to happen.
Okay.
In this world of worlds, but what he does in the world of worlds, it does change things, if that makes sense. But he's not dead or alive, and it's just this. It's kind of like space. Like he's walking on like nothing.
He's in a different plane of existence.
Yeah, and even the creator of the world between worlds doesn't really explain it very well. He's like, it's just kind of this place where, you know, people that have passed on.
Yeah,
you know,
limbo.
There.
Basically,
it is basically
just
limbo.
going to limbo, have a look around.
And, but depending on what's happening, you can either go back into your body, or you can stay there, or you can.
If you've got an able body to get back into.
Yeah.
I've got another one.
Kind of like
if you want to hear it.
So far, I'm just seeing it as limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's a thing.
Well, maybe. So, this one. I found. It doesn't matter where I found it. I still don't know who it was that actually wrote it.
Anonymous.
Another anonymous one. Says, when I was about 11 or 12, I was staying at my friend's house for the night. I was sleeping in their spare room adjacent to the stairs. As a kid, I used to sleep with the door open, so I left the door open as usual and went to bed that night. There was a light bleeding from their living room, or lounge, from their TV, so the stairway opposite my room was dimly lit. Not completely dark, and I could still make out colour and detail of the wall, the pictures on the wall, etc. Maybe about an hour after laying in bed, facing the wall as I usually did, I turned around and I saw what at the time I thought was my friend's mother standing in the middle of the stairs. So I could see only her upper torso, but she was staring at me with a completely emotionless and blank expression. I could make out the clothes she was wearing, the direction her hair was angled, and everything in pretty good detail, considering the lighting. She was staring at me directly into my eyes.
Through the gap?
Through the gap in the door, through the doorway.
Okay.
And I was staring back, mainly because I felt really uneasy, considering that I was a child sleeping in bed, and I didn't want to take my eyes off her in case something happened. After about 10 minutes, I decided to get up and go and see what she wanted.
Okay.
As if it would take that long. It was only about 6 feet from the door of my room where she was standing, and by the time I got to the top of the stairs, she'd just gone. Literally just like she demanifested into the air before my eyes. I never took my eyes off her once except to blink. Confused, I went downstairs to see if she was there, and she was just watching TV in the lounge with her husband, so I went back to bed. About an hour later, I woke up feeling the same uneasiness, and I looked out of the door and she was there again, and this event repeated itself. After this one, I fell asleep until the morning. I feel I saw a ghost of my friend's very much alive mum in very good lighting. I have no idea what I could possibly have seen. If anybody else has any ideas, this was on a forum. But yeah, again, this one was titled, "Is it possible to see the ghost of a living person?" I think I may have seen one.
There has been like theories and stories of people wondering like what happens when you go to sleep. Like, what is your brain doing and thinking about? Is it possible that your body is just your vessel and your mind actually goes and does other things
to another dimension? Well, yeah, you're disabled in bed.
So there is that theory as well.
But I mean, this person, that last story, the person in bed was not the apparition. They were sat watching TV in company, and yet they were projecting projecting an apparition to somebody else who was trying to sleep, which is a bit of a different one, isn't it?
It's tough. The skeptic in me says, so far, you've had a 5-year-old and then also a young kid where imagination is running wild. Not to discredit them or anything, but I also think it's one of those things where stories like this are very personal to that person's experience. Like when you and your sister had the conversation of weird stuff growing up and things like that.
Oh, and both floating around the stairs
Down
and
the
stuff
stairs.
like that. Yeah.
That's an experience unique to you, that to you and your sister kind of thing. Whereas someone like me hearing that story and reading this and I can't relate to that because I've never experienced anything like that. I'm not in tune with it. So,
but do you think it's believable that other people can experience that?
I think the theory of like different dimensions and limbo and leaving the body and things, I think that's plausible. Like I don't think that's too far-fetched. But that story in particular, or like the example of somehow someone's awake and projecting themselves for someone else to see, I don't know. I just don't. Because even Ingo Swann, when we covered him, he was astro projecting to Mars and the moon, and
he was remote viewing.
Remote viewing, okay.
Yeah. There are subtle differences, but much the same thing. Yeah, I guess.
But we've also never heard or seen of anyone like if you had the ability to do that, it's kind of like a superpower.
It is, but even Ingo Swann. Do you remember? I think on the whichever episode it was, the first episode where we went to the moon.
Right. Yeah.
At the Axelrod thing.
I loved Axelrod.
Yeah, where he'd gone to the moon and he said that he'd seen people doing like mining on the moon, and they seemed to notice that he was there, and he had to cut the connection. I mean, is this the same sort of thing? Do you think? Do you think his on the moon to those aliens or whatever people it was, whatever beings that he was witnessing, and he claims that they were aware of him? Do you think that they would have seen something similar? Would he have looked like a ghost to them?
If that is the case, yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or they'd be like, why is this guy in a suit stood here? What's he doing?
Yeah, they were all butt naked, I think. Remember?
It did get very gay on the moon at one point, didn't it? For Ringo Swann.
Well, it was very gay in general. There was butt naked people on the moon and people in Speedos back here on Earth, the twins, wasn't it? But
yeah. It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one.
So, yeah, I guess we got to go to the paranormality scale. I mean, yeah, it's getting to that time now.
I hate to do it for like the third week in a row, but I think I have to just go.
You're not going to naysay it.
No, I have to go straight 5 because
really?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, because there's no actual evidence to support any of it, and we're not going to ever get evidence because we're alive, and we can't.
But where do you think the stories come from, man?
I think a combination of imagination and personal experience.
But it's one thing like to not believe in ghosts of dead people and stuff like that. But when people have seen ghosts of people they know and they're still alive, and that's a complete that's a level above it, you know. That's a level of strangeness above it. And when people really believe that I mean, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I never personally saw the little girl back in my hometown that crossed the road apparently and walked
That
into
was
a different
secretly
house.
an old lady.
That was apparently an old lady. But I mean, I'm just going by the folklore of the town. In that case, I never saw it myself, but there are accounts of people who are legitimately, absolutely certain that is what they have seen.
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe in ghosts, surely there's some part of you that can believe that you can sense an energy, or of a living person.
Sensing
that's
energy,
out there.
yeah.
The astral projection. If someone was astral projecting, even if they're doing it in their sleep and they don't realize that they're doing it, and you just happen to pick up on that energy. I mean, can you believe in that? Could you at least lift it to a 6 that way?
Two things. You said it straight away in your first sentence just then. It's still just stories. It's not my personal.
It is. Yeah,
it's not my personal account.
That's what we do on this podcast. We tell stories.
And that's the second thing. The thing I love about this podcast is the fact that me and you have such different opinions and views when it comes to the paranormal. I love the fact that you've had these experiences, and you are, if we're talking ghosts, experience, psychedelics, or that kind of thing, you are Mr. 9.9 out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
You're in, right?
Yeah.
Because I haven't had those experiences of floating down the stairs and having those similar things, I'm very much coming at it from a skeptic point of view.
Right. Okay.
So
you're going to go flat 5 again, or are you going lower?
I feel like I have to go straight down the middle because I can't.
So you don't want to say for or against it?
No, because I do like the idea of there being this ability, and if it's different dimensions and things, I'll give you that. Okay, I'll give you that. If we're leaning,
it is reaching into a different dimension.
If we're leaning into more of the different dimension kind of route, like the whole limbo thing, and I will give it a 6. I will give it a 6. Again, if it's going down that route of it's possible we're in different dimensions and we don't know. I like the whole idea of different dimensions and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's sort of all part of it anyway.
So I'll give it more than a 5. I'll give it a 6.2. How's that? I'll give it a 6.2. Final answer.
Right.
But as far as like stories of, I saw my friend's mum in the middle of the stairs and she was staring at me. I'm taking that with a pinch of salt, more creepy pasta style.
Because a story from someone that you don't know, and
But I'm not saying it didn't happen. It could very well happen.
No, that's fair. I'm going to go naturally a bit higher.
Of course, yeah.
I'm going to try and make it easier on myself for the maths, though. So I'm going to go.
No, you have to go with your heart, pirate. I will work out the maths. Don't worry about it.
You're working out the maths.
I'll work out the maths.
You went 6.2, so I. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, and also to be honest, like I can see your point in that. Yes, we don't know who these people are. Their stories, and
great stories.
Even Stevie with the anonymous email saying how she had experienced some of it. I don't believe she actually said in the email that that she knows that in her astral projection sort of experiences that she had been seen by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the way that I perceived the story to be, is that she was astral projecting in real time, maybe seeing the way that a place that she used to live in today's in the modern day, in today's culture and the way it is today.
And I'm not discrediting that.
And I'm not discrediting that at all, which is why I want to rate it a little bit high. But at the same time, yes, you are correct. These are stories. I don't know how true the one is from my hometown. I heard it all my life, but I don't know how true it is.
Down in the valleys.
It's not in the valley. Well, I suppose it is in the valleys. Not quite in Wales. But yeah. They are based on stories and myths and legend that you can find them online. They're easy enough to find. I'll try and do you a little bit of a favour, and I'm gonna
go with your heart.
Well, I was going around about 8 anyway.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say 7.8 just to see how you do with the maths.
7.8. That means our average. So it was a 6.2, 7.8, 7.
7. Well done. Yeah! Good maths.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And I'm glad you went with your heart there.
Yeah.
So I like the idea. I do like the idea, and I'm not discrediting anyone's stories. What I'm saying is, if it happened to them and it's their personal stuff, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
The idea of limbo and stuff and dimensions, I want to touch on that more in the future because that stuff really does interest me.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've mentioned about the DMT with the purple aliens and people having the same experience. If we're talking that kind of thing, that's more believable because you've got so many accounts of like witnesses and all experiencing the same thing. At the moment, we're at that level where it's like the odd person and stuff.
Yeah, but I still think like multiple people experiencing a similar thing. There's got to be some credence to that. Where
there probably
people
is.
From all over the world, from different walks of life, are experiencing similar phenomena. There's got to be something to it.
There has to be.
And it is a little bit creepy. It's been a bit less of a jovial episode and a little bit more of a creepy episode this week, I think.
Yes.
The kind that makes your hair stand on end.
Maybe. Yeah.
So if your hair has stood on end this podcast, this episode, then I think I've done a good job of presenting it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any hair to stand on end, you know where this is going.
Oh, I do.
I've been doing another podcast with a guy who we invited onto this podcast last year, Mike Smith, for the Why Do Men Go Bald episode.
He was the geezer with a cigar.
He was the geezer with a cigar. Well, you won't have seen the cigar on the audio episode, but he wanted to start a podcast to give advice on hair loss and the treatments and stuff that are available to people who experience hair loss. So if you are somebody that experiences hair loss, you may be interested in this podcast. It's called Hairlines and Headlines. I only co-host. I'm secondary. He's the man who knows everything and offers all the advice and stuff. I'm just a tech guy, really. But it was a lot of fun to record. We're not doing it like a weekly the way me and you do it, Josh. It's just we've recorded a series. If that goes all right, we might record another series. And just see how it goes. But we spotted a gap in the market. No one else is really doing it, covering like hair loss and that sort of thing. And since it's his main business, he asked me if I could help him out with it and get involved. And he's a good mate, so I decided to help him. And now we need a bit of help advertising it. So we thought I'd just give it a little plug on this podcast. Honest. Friendly advice for people who are experiencing hair loss and what solutions are available to you. So go and check that out if you're interested. Hairlines and Headlines. That is my plug. Done.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I keep hearing stories of young guys that are like 17, 18 and they're starting to lose their hair.
It can happen.
If there are people out there that unfortunately from a young age you are losing your hair and you are worried about it, it is worth a listen because I have listened to a bit of it, and you guys know your stuff, especially Mike. He does know his stuff.
And Mike is even offering like special offers and stuff through with his like hair transplant company for podcast listeners.
Nice.
And that sort of thing. It may not necessarily. It's not necessarily a free hair transplant, but it might be a discount. It might be extra supplements. Stuff like that. He is doing that. So if you are worried about your hair loss, go and listen to the podcast. Listen to the advice. Have a see what you need to do with it. But that's beside the by. Paranormality is here to stay, and this is my main focus, this podcast. But I did promise him that I'd give us a plug.
Shout out to Mike, the top geezer.
He is the top geezer. I do like him. He's a decent guy.
He is a nice guy. And if you're an old lady secretly posing as a young girl walking the valleys of Wales haunting people, write in. Let us know.
Yeah,
How's it
let us
going
know.
for you?
Yeah.
You know,
Send us an ethereal letter.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're waiting in the middle of the stairs for your child's friend to notice you and make eye contact and spook them out, then also let us know how that's going for
Yes.
you.
Just send us an ethereal mail to paranormality@gmail.co. No, it's .com.
I don't even know anymore.
This is the thing with the Mike thing. His emails were like .co.uk and all this sort of thing, and now I get confused with which one I was trying to do. Paranormality.uk@gmail.com.
You'll find us.
Yeah, send us an ethereal mail.
Yeah. Anonymous.
Yeah, email, but E stands for ethereal rather than electronic.
Yeah. And with that, I've been Josh.
And I've been Parrot.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta. Thank you. Yes. Oh, roses. Oh, I shouldn't have.